Good Wednesday evening, everyone. You are watching Direct Line. Our special guest today is the very first woman county executive from the great county of Wicomico, the home of Salisbury University. That's also where the Salisbury steak was invented. And we're joined by Julie Giordano, county executive. Welcome,
Hi.
Julie. Your hosts tonight are the wonderful Nicole Bennett and Mark Uncle. Take it away, guys.
Hi, welcome to Direct Line Live. Julie is my personal friend, full disclosure, right? Total rock star. We're here tonight with Mark Unkefer. And before we get started, I want to say happy Passover to everyone who is celebrating, and especially to Jackie Saxton, our usual co-host. Hope you're having a great time, Jax.
Who's hopefully is not listening because she's with family right now.
Yes.
But I just to set things straight, let's kind of get rid of the fake news there. Salisbury steak wasn't invented in Salisbury, was it? No. And the other question,
spelled the same. No.
Yeah, it's all the same. The other question I have is I saw all those pictures at the very beginning coming up. Were any of them in Wicomico County?
I don't know. I don't think so. I was flashing and I got excited because I saw Ellicott City, and that exact bridge is about 2 minutes away from my childhood home. So I recognize that, and the Orioles. So yeah.
You know, we'll have to do another version to get that straightened out, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
So tell me, you've just had it. Is it coming up now? Your first 100 days, and what's it been like, and what was unexpected about what you've encountered when you became county executive?
Yeah, so we're actually past 100 days. So my 100th day was on the 16th of March. Mm-hmm. So we worked really hard up until that date. We kind of hit the ground running. I didn't get much of a transition into the position, but with that and session starting, and so we were kind of thrown into it. We were in the midst of a lawsuit. There were a lot of things that were going on that had to be handled. And so it's really kind of nice at this point in time because it feels like we were really starting to feel like what the day-to-day is going to be like. But it's been great. I mean, it's really been great. Expected. I think the work is pretty much what I expected. There are some days where I get to go out in the county and I talk to different people and different department heads and employees, and but there are days that I'm kind of strapped to the desk, and I felt like that way today. I had meetings all the way up until 6 p.m. and so we kind of knew that that's how it was going to be. But every single day is different. Some days I'm talking about a water and sewer plan. Today was the fire service agreement, and so it just depends. It depends, but I really like it. I've been having a blast, so I look forward to the next 3.5 years. So
great.
Me too. So you touched on water and sewer. I understand there's some cause for celebration with your bill being passed.
Yeah, so my first bill was passed today, and very exciting for us. It's for Wicomico to get our sanitary district, to be able to have a sanitary district. And as unglamorous as it sounds, it's actually a very super important piece in Wicomico right now. We're one of the only counties that doesn't have its own water and sewer. So we have municipal water systems, but we don't have any in the county level. So this allows us to do that, which will be good. So we have a lot of people that are kind of at their wits' end at this point in time. So we have, with that and a new health officer, it should be a really good year.
So explain how that will work as the new sanitary district comes into effect. Obviously it'll have to be adjacent, and where will it be centered, and how will it be rolled out?
Yeah, so we actually had a task force. They really like task forces. Oh my gosh, I can't even speak. Task forces in my county. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And we had a local firm look at what would be the best course of action. And so they were able to pull several stakeholders in. So we had realtors, we had business owners, citizens, council people, so we had a big group of people that came in with a few engineers, and they kind of came up with two models, like an urban model and a rural model. And so what we think we're going to be doing first is kind of expanding the municipal municipal water systems, the wastewater systems, and, putting our own pipe in, and our own lift stations in, and coming up with some sort of service agreement with them. So that's kind of the first order of business. And then, of course, eventually we would end up building our own wastewater. I probably will not see the completion of that, as it takes years and years and years to do. Maybe we'll see. I guess it just depends. I'll see it, but maybe not in this role. So.
Now, will that open up the availability of sewer, open up some areas for more development?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have developers right now that have purchased property ready to develop, which is good because we have a housing crisis in my area, which I'm sure that's kind of the same way across the board. We don't have the infrastructure to support more housing, so we need to make sure to kind of do it all at once. But we do have developers that are ready to go, and the water sewer option is definitely glamorous to them, and they realize that it's super important for development.
For sure. So also in the news lately is this West Metro property development. You had a public meeting about that. Give us a little information.
Yeah. So, well, actually, we have another meeting coming up specifically on just that one project. But we had a town hall down on the west side. The west side has a very large group of passionate people. We had covered many topics. So we wanted to make sure to cover not just the West Metro, but also we covered Cove Road. We had some things going on there for us to tackle beach erosion, just different projects. Pirates Wharf. That literally we bought in the 90s and nothing has moved forward with it. And we're able to actually be able to start developing that. So that's exciting.
That's very exciting. Yeah.
Yes. And so then the West Metro Core is just another project. So it's very much in its infancy stages, very much in the planning. There was a couple models that were done and one that was particularly popular amongst citizens. And so the 25th of April, we'll be having another town hall at Rockawalken Town Hall right on the west side for people to come out and sort of see this plan. And it has, oh my gosh, soccer fields and baseball fields and pickleball and basketball and a playground area and a BMX dirt bike path. So there's a lot of cool things that are coming. And we're really hoping to bring some really cool things to the west side.
I'm a fan of pickleball, so you had me at pickleball. Right?
I have never played. Apparently, I'm missing out. But
we're going to play.
So I need to practice and play.
We will play, and you'll have a great time. But it seems like, just from someone who travels there quite often for work, you can feel a different energy in the community. I think people are actually feeling hopeful. What do you think about your leadership style has brought that into the community? That's this active local leadership.
Yeah, well, I think sometimes, I know we've upped the views from our council meetings about 100.
Oh no.
Was calling me. Anyway, but so we've upped our council meetings. So we do have people very interested in what's going on in the political world. Sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's not, so much, but that's okay. I think they're happy to see us out and about. They like seeing what I'm doing on Facebook. They like seeing me out in the community. They see that it wasn't just campaign, just getting out there for the campaign. I'm continuing to do that. We're really trying to recognize employees and the hard work that they do, and just figuring out ways, to make Wicomico better. And so we really like the people being a part of it. And I try, every day to turn off my light and say, what did we do to help Wicomico today?
That's very good.
That's a great way to do focus. We were talking before about your first 100 days, and transitions are always difficult for organizations. New leadership coming in, and talk a little bit about your process for communicating what your priorities are, and how did you approach that within your organization?
Sure. So my department heads had not had a department head meeting in 2 years. So there wasn't even that internal communication amongst them. So we made sure to bring that back. So every Friday we're kind of having those conversations. We then set up one-on-ones with the department heads, talking about needs and wants. And I think they were very shy at that point in time, a little gun shy as to what is really going on. There were some that were very adamant, hey, we need to fix this, or can we focus on this? And we all agreed that the morale in the county wasn't where we really wanted it to be. And so we've been really looking for ways to do that. We then kind of hit session. And so my director of administration, Bunky Luffman, and I were in Annapolis at least once a week, trying to get these bills passed and making ourselves, just having a name and, showing Wicomico what we're about. And so we wanted people to see that. And then now that session is sort of wrapping up, we are now looking again internally. So now that I've been in 110 days or so, there's other things that have surfaced. And so now that everybody's been confirmed, they feel a little bit more confident and comfortable with my leadership style and what I'm looking for. I think that there'll be a little bit more, we want to do that check-in. So we're about open communication, internally. They know I have an open door policy. They also know that I'll support them 100%. And so, they're the expert in their department, and we're just kind of there to guide or help in any way that they see fit. So, and I think that they appreciate it, so we've been working very hard. And when I did my 100 days, I didn't do a speech that was pretty typical. Typically the person, from what I've understood, just kind of stands up here, kind of gives their, state of the county address. I included my department heads in that. And so it was very nice. I started compiling things and I said, it's important for you to hear from them.
Right.
And so they were able to kind of, reiterate, the things that they're doing. They're passionate. This is what we're doing with Rec and Parks. This is what we're doing in planning and zoning. And it was nice because a lot of times, they might have heard Steve Miller's name. They didn't know he was our director of Rec and Parks and Tourism. So it was good for them. I think it was good for the public to see that as well. And we are a unified team. It's not just me all the time.
I think that's important. When you think about communities where there had been maybe a lack of connection between the department heads and the executive, seeing your Facebook post with people that you're honoring who work for the county is a big deal. I've watched your Facebook and I see these posts that you have with people who may work for the county, who may have never been given anything ever for their years of dedication for working, and the looks on their faces are priceless. So I think that community building portion is winning you hearts and minds across the board. But as a business owner in Wicomico County, you're doing a great job. You got that from me.
Thanks. Okay. I appreciate that.
Doing a great job. Keep up the good work. One of the things that I saw on the website, though, that I thought was very interesting is that there was a reverse trade show. And I think this also speaks to how your leadership style has kind of shaken things up, where you're actually teaching people how to put a bid in to do business with the county. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so that's more so something that's really, I think from our planning and zoning and our department, I think it just kind of goes to show that our department heads have really embraced my vision in this whole idea of, we work for the people and, they have to come first. So in any processes or anything that we can do to try to make anything coming into the county easier, they shouldn't feel, like, oh, I've got to go get a permit or I've got to go do this or I have to go do that. I want them to feel welcomed, that they feel that we are here to help. And so they've been implementing little things, along with that. But we also had our planning and zoning did the customer bill of rights. And so just kind of showing that we're trying to be interactive. We're trying to make things easier. We're trying to open up Wicomico, to those businesses and showing them. So, the efforts I think are really great. And I think when they have somebody behind them that really supports that, I think is super important. So.
Agreed. I like that customer bill of rights. Sometimes when you're dealing with the county, it takes a very long time to get things done because the one person who does that one thing that you need is not there, and you can leave a message and they'll get back to you eventually. Right. I think this is wonderful. I think it's really just kind of connecting leadership with the people. And I think that's the way communities grow in the right direction.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree. And, I have gotten quite a few phone calls where a lot of times people, their issue maybe not even be with the county, but they just need to call back. They just need to vent, or they just need to, or it's a simple answer. And so I am getting that feedback that, oh my gosh, this person was wonderful, or I thought this was going to take 2 years and it took, a day, or, so we are seeing that positive feedback, which is really, really good. And, and I've had those hard conversations. Not every conversation is great to have, but, I was very honest with the department heads at the beginning saying, I need you to hear what the community is saying, because I was a community member yesterday before I was sworn in,
right.
Still am, still am. So I want you to hear what they're saying. And then let's help me help you, let me know what I can do to be, to help you be successful. And I think that they, have really embraced that. So.
We've talked a lot about sort of infrastructure. We obviously talked about the sanitary district. We've talked a little bit about planning. You may want, could you elaborate a little bit about what your vision for making sure that the county has the infrastructure, the resources in order to accommodate growth that may be coming your way?
Yeah, it's, my county is so tough because you do have the people, we have like kind of two sets of people. We have people who are all about growth and development, and you have your developers that are saying, hey, we need more housing. We have people that want to move here. We have this, we have that. But then on the other end, you have the people that are more so on the outskirts that are like, we don't want the growth, we don't want the growth. And so you kind of have that argument back and forth. What we've tried to explain to the rural is that, okay, if we're going to keep the growth within the city, so we need to go up rather than out. And so like, it's going to happen, regardless. So we're trying to get them on board with some different things. My biggest thing is and I know this is probably kind of changing topics, but one thing that I've noticed is we also have a tendency on the shore to not have the right size buildings for things. So like we have, like, for example, our health department is in like 5 different places. Nicole, you probably know this. And so that's one of the things. And like, so, this is probably the only time a Republican is going to be talking about health equity in their county. But it is, we have people that have to drive all over the place or walk all over the place to get to these different resources. So we're really trying to look for ways to make things more accessible, easier for that. And then that sort of opens the door for everything else. There is a conservative angle because it does open up some buildings that I can sell and put back on the tax roll. So I do still have that capitalist attitude, but it's fixing issues. You know what I mean? And we're trying to figure out ways to make it better for citizens. As far as the growth goes in infrastructure, we need another school built. I mean, all of our schools are bursting at the seams. Yeah, and so it's stuff like that. And, the problem, and I say problem, so I'm going to have a lot of Republicans upset with me. One thing that really hinders our growth is our I always want to say salary cap, and it's not football. It's our revenue cap. And so we have a revenue cap in this county, and it does make it difficult. We can raise property taxes 2%. But when we bring in, anyway, it's a whole big formula. For example, this year, I'm going to have to lower the tax rate, which people are like, yeah, but if I could just hold the tax rate, it would be $2 million staying with the county that I can put towards other things to make the county better. So we do get our hands tied a little bit that way, with growth and things like that. And we have a 14-story building going up, the Ross building. It's going to be completed this fall for students. There was a big, hoopla about that. It was, so people have a hard time with change, I think. But I think that they also know that cities or counties that don't grow die. So it needs to happen. But I'm also okay to do it at a very good rate and not, not like, kind of overstimulating the economy, or not the economy, but the infrastructure and everything else in the county.
So going back, and this is a facetious question, so I'm assuming you did not match what our county executive did in Montgomery County, which is propose a 10% real estate property tax increase.
I did not. No, not at all. We actually lowered our tax rate. The only thing that we have in common with Montgomery County is that we have the liquor monopoly here, which I am working very diligently to, that'll be next year's bill. That's next year's project. So we're working away from that, and so another task force has been formed, for this, but we love them in this county, but that's about the only thing that we have in common. So no.
Let me tell you that the liquor monopoly is such a challenge to figure out how you do that, because it's fascinating. In Montgomery County, one of the issues is, as terrible as the service is, they're addicted to the profits, to the revenue. Not addicted, but they're very used to the profits and looking for ways to be able to retain that source of income. So I wish you well on next year's project.
Yeah, ours is a little bit different. I mean, I guess maybe comparative to budgets. So we only get anywhere between, $800,000 to maybe $1 million. So I'm hoping to make that up in revenue. So, I mean,
Right.
I think that we would be able to open that up, but it's just such an archaic system. It's a 4-tiered system. It takes away from the free market. And so and I'm a big proponent of small businesses, and it's hurting our restaurant owners right now. And so we are looking for any way, with inflation and things like that are happening, that, the cost of everything is rising. And so anything that we can do to try to help to kind of put more money in their pockets, I think is beneficial for
And that is a huge constituency. The restaurants are, at least looking at the Montgomery County experience, so frustrated with being basically forced to deal with one vendor that's not necessarily very responsive.
Right, exactly. And it's kind of funny because you dig deep into that, and it's very sketchy on how things even happen. There's no boss, there's no oversight. We just are handed a check and just kind of turned a blind eye. And as much as I'm like, thanks for the $1 million check, I just need some justification and some data, and when they're saying we have paper ledgers, that just is no good. So we're looking at a lot of different things, for that. So looking at least to change up some, the system. And like I said, a good group of community stakeholders has come in from private organizations, clubs and things like that, but also restaurant owners. Even just, your typical liquor bourbon club type person is involved in this task force. And so I think it's important. And I was very vocal about it. So I have removed myself from the task force completely, and we'll just kind of get briefed on what they've talked about. So I think it's probably for the best because they already know where I stand on it. So.
One of the things that I like most about the task force model, especially the way that it's happening in Wicomico, is that it gives everyone a little bit of a voice. Clearly we know where you stand on this whole liquor situation, and dare I say, I could probably guess where most of the people on the task force stand on it, but it does give us an opportunity as citizens to have some voice at the table when these types of decisions are made, because that $1 million check may possibly should have been 2, possibly 3.
Right.
You have no idea of knowing without any oversight. So shining a big bright light on that, I wish we could do the same in Montgomery, would be an epic thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think most of the time, not just liquor, they always know where I stand. I don't think there's ever a question on any issue as to where I stand. I'm very vocal about it. And, and I think it's important, that people know once they hear what I say, I'm not going to waver. And it's not that I'm not listening, to what people are saying, but anytime I bring something forward, the research has been done. Sure. I've looked at a lot of different angles. I've looked at a lot of different things. I have different people working on different pieces that are, we're trying to figure out, every different, solution or angle or, whatever. And so I think that that's super important to do. I've really tried to do that in a lot of things that I've either brought forward, whether it was to council or just a community issue. Sure. Just making sure that you're knowledgeable about it, from a lot of different people or a lot of different angles or viewpoints.
Agreed.
So I'm assuming that is the largest employer Salisbury University?
No, I think it's actually, I think they're right up there with it, but I think it's Purdue.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Purdue
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have we've got Purdue. We have Salisbury University. We have Chesapeake Shipbuilders. They do a lot as well. But and Mount Air, even though it's out there, we have a lot of farmers and things like that sort of work with that. But we're, our agriculture is so big. And actually what I was going to say, that actually sort of reminds me when we were talking about the infrastructure and how important it is to grow. Randy Day, who is the CEO of Purdue, actually really put it in perspective the best way that I could see it, where he knows the agriculture piece is so important to Wicomico, but he also has to bring people here to work. And so they have to have a city, or they have to have that life, to come to. And so having that balance is just so important. So, so Purdue is super important to us, but again, we need the farmland and the farms to do what they do. And then also, being able to be, the economic piece.
For sure. The smart growth. That way you don't end up with 2 different counties sharing one landmass, the very rural, and then people who are, city urbanites. And that's really, really bad for community. I know, because I live in one of those communities. It's like the tale of 2 different Charles counties, where you have people that kind of live in the shadows on the west side of county where I live, where it's quiet and rural. Then you have people who live in Waldorf, and it's like Salisbury times 10. We don't really there's no smart growth there. It's just growth.
Right.
I'm looking forward to Wicomico continuing to grow in a smart way. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was going to ask about the university. Is how does the county work with the university, and is it a resource for you? And if so, how do you put that to work?
Well, it's actually very ironic that you would ask about this. So I felt like up until last night, we had a fantastic relationship with the university. I'll kind of tell you, well, you guys probably know. If not, I'll kind of fill you in. So we work very well with the university. I try to be a really good partner to them, and they're a good partner to us. As a matter of fact, I have an intern starting. So we even brought the internship program back, getting college kids into government, and seeing different, entities. And from the executive office, it's nice because they can sort of see everything, they get to see the different departments and how everything goes. So I'm excited about that. So we have a word museum here, which is ducks, decoys type museum. There was a foundation with it. Salisbury University owned it. And they have closed their doors and are moving the collection. And it has caused an uproar in the community. And yesterday at our council meeting, we do not set the agenda. The county council sets their agenda. And they had Salisbury University there, and they had a lot of angry but passionate people who were very upset about the lack of transparency with the Word Museum closing. And I think two things. I think they wanted to vent. They needed that platform. I don't know if the county council meeting was the correct platform. I feel like a town hall situation would have been a little bit better, but they needed a voice. They needed to be heard. And so the county did provide that. But I felt so bad. Salisbury University was there, and it was like a firing squad, so I felt bad. I actually plan to send Eli, who is amazing at SU, an email just to kind of say, hey, look, I am sorry that this happened. And it was never the county's intention to put you under fire. But also, I think it's important for them to hear that the community is upset. They are upset. And I think they were looking to the county to kind of swoop in and save the day. And it's just not something, it's not that I wouldn't. The building's beautiful, but I don't have the right to do it. It's not my building. It's not. It's so unfortunately, I think a lot of those decisions were sort of they were made before they were publicized. So that makes it kind of difficult, especially in something like that. So we had a lot of angry, passionate people at the council meeting yesterday. So
yeah, Facebook was alive. It was definitely alive with the comments, but that just kind of, if we take it back just a moment, that just goes to show how comfortable people have become with your style of leadership. Where they say, "Oh, Salisbury's showing up. We're showing up and we're going to talk to them," and the whole county council will be there and the county executive will be there and they'll hear my point of view. It is so refreshing to have that in government, where now, if you want to make a comment about something, you have to sign up at least 48 hours in advance, let them know what the comment's going to be. It's kind of like dancing with the devil in the moonlight before you even have your 90 seconds to make your comment. So I am very happy that this is starting to grow. This feeling of connectiveness is starting to grow across the county, and people feel like they can trust you with their voices. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is a positive, and I do. It is kind of funny though, because certain processes that have been in place since 2006, they're starting to question, well, why do you do this? Is this right? Do I get to see this? And in one aspect, as the executive, you're kind of like, guys, this is the way it's always been, but it is good that they're asking those questions. It is good to get involved, because if there are things that aren't working for the community, you want to make those changes and kind of work towards, common goals, not just what an executive wants, but what the community wants. So you are right. And I do. I love that. I mean, seeing those people last night, as bad as I felt for Salisbury University, and it was probably not the intention for that to happen,
for sure.
But it was good. You saw community members passionate about something in their community, and that's always a good thing.
Absolutely. One thing that I did want to touch base with you, one of the things that I love most about Wicomico is the absolute beauty of this place. The last time I think you were here, I asked you what your favorite place was in Wicomico. Has that changed with all of the new things that are coming? The new pickleball court, can't wait for the pickleball, but has that changed? I think I've picked a new place.
Yeah, that opens in April. So the new 2 pickleball courts out at the YMCA. So you'll have to come to that ribbon cutting. Absolutely.
Girl, say less. I'm there.
It's kind of funny. I think because I think I mean, not to sound silly, I think my favorite place is home because I'm not really here all that much. You know what I mean? So just being able to like sit in my house right now is actually really nice because you're usually out at, some sort of meeting. And I'll tell you, I think, I think I have a variety of different places. Like I love Powellville Fire Department. I love going there. We go to their breakfast, once a month. It's just, it's so, they're so community and family oriented, and it's not even a municipality. I mean, they just love their community and they're so passionate about it. But there's other parts of the county. I love going down to the beach, like down at Roaring Point, like our little rivers, and things like that. So I love going down there. I've really, the one thing that's been really nice with the campaign and now being the executive is like, there are so many things that my husband and I probably would have never done or gone to, without campaigning. And so now we have this little family, wherever we go. And and that part's really, really nice. I think I appreciate my county just in general so much more from campaigning and being out, because there are so many different things that I didn't even know maybe existed or wouldn't even have gone to or tried to go to. Yeah. But, and now that I've done it, it's part of our routine now. So
for sure.
Nicole, that was kind of a curveball of a question. That's like asking a parent, like, which of your kids do you love the most? I mean, you can't.
Right.
You can't do that to an elected official.
I'm just trying to get invited to the ribbon cutting. I'm working my magic.
Yeah, we've got a few. We've got quite a few coming up.
Right. So we have a question from Facebook. It is from Robin Ficker.
I was going to say, you don't even have to identify who the questioner is. Just the question you should be able to guess
for
yourself.
Sure.
Is it I'm trying to take 2 cents? I don't know if I can do it, Robin.
No, is somebody putting term limits on the ballot in Wicomico?
Yeah, so thank you for the question. Yeah, so that is something that actually was brought to my attention several times out on the campaign trail. Mm-hmm. It is something that I think our central committees are going to be working on, and I say committees because it's actually a joint effort, which is kind of interesting, but it is something I think that is definitely important to the people in Wicomico. I think that they see the value in a fresh set of eyes. I think they see the value of of somebody not staying in there too long. And we see it, in Congress, all the time, you know what I mean? And we're just like, why are these people still here? Like, what are they doing? And then, so in Wicomico, we don't want to really mirror that. And so we're looking at something, I think what they had talked about was potentially, if you've been an elected official in Wicomico, I think like for 12 years or 3 terms or something like that you wouldn't be eligible after that. So it is something that they are looking at. It would definitely be taken, to referendum, with a signature. So, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they can get the signatures or not. So I did hear of that though.
Watch out. Robin Ficker on the way to Ocean City may want to collect some signatures.
Hey, I will take his help, down here. So absolutely. And if that's what people want, then I think that it's important to reflect that. I would have I would like to do 2 terms. I mean, that's really where I see myself as 2 terms. Mm-hmm. I would never want to do 3, but I think 3 would be absolutely the max at that point in time. Sure. And it can't even be I'm still having fun, because there are new things to be learned, new ideas, people that are in, new blood needs to be in, you know what I mean? And I think that that's super important in leadership. And so I wouldn't do that to the community regardless. So.
Agreed. There are those who say that, every election is a referendum of sorts, a term limit thing of sorts. But, especially as a Marylander, that name ID is a huge thing. I don't want to pick on Steny Hoyer, but Steny Hoyer's been in office my entire life. Right. I mean, it's like the only way he's getting out of that with his name ID and his war chest is, God forbid, he retires or, permanently retires. That is about the only way that he's going to get out of that seat. Now, people say it helps when people stay a long time, that they kind of build up some sort of power base within. The truth of the matter is they lose the connection to the community. And so being connected to the community, especially growing communities, I think is much more important than keeping Steny Hoyer on whatever committee Steny Hoyer is on.
And absolutely. I mean, I absolutely agree. And I also think it's important that, you get to a point too, where I think that you should be, regardless of whether you agree with term limits or not, there has to come a point in time where you start training a replacement.
Absolutely.
Getting somebody who you think is, that your party, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on, but that you have somebody behind, that feels the same way you do, and that you're kind of getting them ready, for that. And so I firmly believe in that. So if I was to do the 2 terms, in year 6 or so, you're really starting to think about who's going to run and kind of helping them through that process, because I know how difficult it was for me when my transition was 20 minutes. It was a 20-minute meeting. And so I understand the value of that, and it's important for the community. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
I would never want to do that to anybody. So
It was a lot. It was definitely a lot.
The shore has quite a few jurisdictions, different counties of different signs. I assume one of the sort of areas that you need to do to be effective is to work with some of those other jurisdictions on common issues. How is that working out?
It's working out okay. It's actually one of those things that it's actually a summer project of mine. So to get everybody through session, I think is going to be super important, because I know, senators, had specific things, and the delegates had specific things,
Right.
that they wanted to bring forward. But, in talking with, Senator Mary Beth Carrozza, it's going to be imperative that I work with her, and she has those, she has Worcester and Wicomico. Working with the delegates that kind of cross that way as well. So it's very important. We on the shore do not think the same way as the other side of the bridge. So it's even more important and more imperative for us to work as a team and work as a region, I think that was one of the pushes was, kind of doing this regional approach, making sure that Worcester, Somerset, and even Dorchester are kind of behind, what we're doing here. And it's important. I mean, I'm one of the only executives on this side, especially in the lower shore. So I think it's important to represent them. So during the summer, once session is over, I plan to meet with the commissioners, and that way we can kind of work on some things together as well as to what we're going to put forward, whether it's legislation or different things that we're putting together. So it's definitely important, because we have to stick together, because our voice is a lot stronger when it's 3 and 4 counties as opposed to
Absolutely.
siloing things. So
yeah, one of the things that I think that you guys are working on together is that beautiful new JA facility, that Junior Achievement Building. It is absolutely gorgeous. How did that come about? Was that did it come out of one of those meetings where everybody got together? I know it was needed on the shore, definitely needed.
It was, Jamie is amazing. Jamie Hill, she is absolutely a spitfire and so passionate about what she does. And, she kind of tells the story, and I don't want to really tell her story because it's really her story. But what she says is that they told her this specific building would never happen in Wicomico. You don't have the people, you don't have this, you don't have that. And she was very much like, watch me, and she was able to do it. I mean, she was able to do it. And seeing the community come together. And it's so nice, because a lot of times I feel like we are steps ahead of other places in the fact that we're already looking ahead and knew how important vocational learning is, and how important it is for economic development and financial literacy and all these things that apparently now Kerwin is realizing, this is important, but I feel like with our CTE program and things like that, we were already very much ahead of the curve, on that. And so I was very excited to see it. I did a tour earlier on, so I will be excited to see the progress that's made. I know the storefronts are out right now.
Oh,
I am
cool.
so super excited that my son, who's in 7th grade, will be able to participate with this in 8th. And it's amazing seeing the community come together and sponsor these different things. She's a little short on money right now, but I told her, I said, see what you can do, see about these community sponsors. And I told her, I said, the county just can't, we're not going to let you fall short. So we're kind of there as that safety net. We're going to see who else kind of donates. There's a couple of stakeholders that really need to donate because they have not donated yet. And so I'll be making those phone calls for her as well. But what an amazing facility. And, and with my education background, just knowing that kids are going to be affected in such a positive way is awesome.
Agreed. It's a beautiful facility. I cannot wait until it's complete.
Me either.
Yeah, just walking through with lines on the floor, you're like, this is going to be amazing. So I think it's a perfect example of what you're talking about, of how the shore communities are working together for the greater good without having to transport their children here to the western side for a junior achievement activity. I think it's great. Absolutely wonderful.
It is. And it really reflects the Eastern Shore, and it really reflects Wicomico. I think when there's a need. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, junior achievement. It could be a fire department doing a fundraiser. It could be us banding together. We the year is coming up that we lost, Deputy Glenn Hilliard, but you have never seen a community come together so much in support of so many different things. And so when it really matters, and not that little things don't matter, but when it really matters and you see these huge things, we really, I couldn't love the community more. I mean, I couldn't just love our county even more, because we come together. And it's amazing to see that. So
now, I assume most, or perhaps a majority of your budget, or about 50%, goes to the public school system. That seems to be about the metric. Any thoughts about your local school system, how you've worked with them as a county executive?
Yeah. So, I taught school for 18 years.
Right.
I was on year 18, and I literally was teaching on December 2nd, and I was born in December 6th. So, education obviously is super important to me. With Kerwin coming down, you kind of get a different perspective from this end. As the teacher end, you're like, it's never enough money. They're not paying us enough. It's easy to say that. When you look at it from the other end, you do see that maintenance of effort, and you kind of look at it. We are actually going above maintenance of effort this year.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be about, almost $1 million over. Reason being is we don't know what Kerwin's going to bring in. I would rather budget for it now. And if it's used, fantastic. And if it's a little over, then it's okay. It's going to the schools, and it's going to a good thing. I am very proud of my school district. There were a lot of bills, legislative bills that came across that I was firmly against, and they were actually against as well. So we saw that as a collaborative effort. I think it was the health matrix, bill, and there's quite a few things, and they were very political about it, in the fact of politically correct, in the fact of they took it as, you're taking away local control. By implementing this, you're taking away local control. So they were very smart about their words, but I mean, it kind of ended up being the same thing, that they were against it. Our school systems need work. I don't think that we are over the COVID hump yet. I know the pandemic part we're over, but the learning loss and things like that, I don't know how long that will take, to keep up. I get very angry and frustrated when I think about what happened with kids in education with COVID. It's unforgivable, honestly, as a teacher. And so, I still see that. I still see the effects of kids every single day. And I feel for my teacher friends, and a lot of times, the answer is, well, let's throw money at it, and that's not necessarily. I've said it numerous times, when getting paid more is great. But I've never really heard one of my teacher friends say, I did this for the pay. It's I did this because I want to help kids, and I want to see that aha moment, and I want kids to be their very best self. And I try to do that every day. And so jumping back to the budgetary part of it. So we are going over a little bit here, just to kind of get ready for Kerwin, because we just don't know what that's going to look like. I plan to be, a little bit more active. I was really, again, kind of thrown into it. And then with session, I'll help as much as I can, whether that means just showing up for games, or showing up for events, or being there on the first day of school. If that's what it looks like, then that's fine. But we really try to figure out the best way to help our kids.
Well, we're coming up on the final minute. So what we always like to do is to give our guests the opportunity to have the last word. So we give it to you. I've been talking
the whole time. Yeah.
Yes.
All I want to say is, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the show. Anytime I get to come out and speak about how great my county is and what a great time I'm having. And I'm so grateful and just thankful for the opportunity. And I can't even thank, the citizens enough that they put that much, trust and faith in me. And I'm hoping, to really make a difference in the county. And so we're really looking at a lot of different angles, whether it's a sanitary district or the health department, or just, bringing the government to the people, or bringing the people back into government. It's all of those things. And so I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And like I said, I hope to do 2 terms. That would be great. If I only get 1, that's okay. I'm going to work hard every day, and the classroom's waiting for me. So that's okay. But I really do hope for 2. And I really hope that we are able to really make a difference. And it's amazing. And I just hope that I never lose that feeling of excitement every day. I love going to work every day. And so I hope that I still feel that way in a couple years. So I hope so. But I appreciate you guys. And again, anytime, I'm able to be free, I would love to come on the show. So anytime.
Julie, thank you very much. We really appreciate having you. And we really, it's really inspiring to hear the kind of enthusiasm and energy that you're bringing to the job. So
For sure.
Congratulations. You're very fortunate. The people in your county are very fortunate to have you as a county executive.
Agreed.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.